Hello, FME users. I just was working on something again and I thought I'd show you what I was doing. Today I'm trying to mine some information out of the annual user survey that you may well have filled in last year. Um, it's I downloaded it. It ends up in a spreadsheet online, and obviously not publicly online, just for us to access. But I downloaded it as CSV, and it's structured funnily because let me just show you what it looks like. Like you've got this question here: what type of authentication would you like to see added to FME server? And you get these different choices, but they're all coded in different columns because you might choose one or the other. Like here, you've just got OAuth and Active Directory, and here you've got all three of them, and here's OAuth and SAML. So we get three different columns, and that is a bit of a pain. I don't really want to have three different columns in my data. So what I'm trying to do is put it all into a single column, and I figured perhaps one of the best ways I could do that, or one of the ways at least, is to just sort of encode it in sort of an encoded binary almost. So you'll see what I mean in a second. So this is the thing for further authentication types. These are the types of authentication that users would like to see. So I'm putting a conditional value in here and saying if that attribute, which was that one, if it has a value, i.e. you picked SAML or whatever this one is, then you give that an 8, otherwise it gets 0. And then I should actually just copy that, because we can copy these conditions from one statement to another, which is really quite useful. Conditional value for here, paste that in and just change it to 4. So again, we just say, does this column have a value? And you can see I'm using 1, 2, 4, and 8 because they're sort of the binary values, you'll see in a second. Again, that's 0 if it doesn't have a value. Conditional, and this time it's 2. Okay, and 0. Yeah, it's quite difficult to explain something like this while you're actually trying to work on it, which is why I'm sort of going to concentrate on getting it working and then sort of explain it a bit more. So we could say that those are binary values. Like I could say it's 1 or 0 for this, 1 or 0 for that. But if I give it a number, then I can string them all together into one value. So I can say, open the arithmetic editor and say the authorization types that each user wants is SAT1 plus SAT2, 4, and 8. So if somebody wanted all of the options, then you get a value of 15. If they just wanted the SAML, they would get 8. If they wanted SAML and whatever that one is, they would get 10. If they wanted this option and that option, the result would be 5. So I can decode which option they've picked in that by decoding the value. And I know it seems a bit of a faff, but to me it's better than having multiple columns. Now that of course has to come after I've converted them to numeric, because before they were text I've made them numeric, so I have to put the sum value down below. Now I want to delete those 4 attributes, but I can't delete them in here because they're getting used later on. So I'm going to have to delete it. I got a separate attribute manager to delete those basically. So I'm just going to say get rid of those. And they automatically get removed from the output schema because the output schema is set to automatic. So any edits I make in here automatically apply to that output schema. I can just hit the run button now, and that should calculate that value. And yeah, we'll get it in the output. So actually I've got another workspace. I must have shut it down. Let me open it up again. Still using 2020, but not for much longer, only for a week or so. This one is my analysis. So that was just prepping the data, separate workspace to analyze it. And if I just run this, let me just run this one, just because we want to see some data in here. Actually, I probably shouldn't show that data, so what I'm going to do is just add that CSV reader. Let's see, there we go. Number 2. And all I want to keep, I'm going to put the attribute keeper in. And yeah, this is just one way to condense all attributes down to a set of attributes that are yes or no down to a single value. And it's, I don't know, it's one way of doing it. I suspect there must be other ways. Let's see, server authentic types. So we can click OK, and I'll keep the other one as well and run that. And we can see from, assuming they've got a value, so this one just picked one of the values. I should filter that out, but for now I'll just sort it in the other direction. Okay, we're not getting anything out of that. Well, there we go. That worked so well, didn't it? Boom, 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 boom. Let's see, what did I do wrong here? That's so weird because it's worked for other ones. What have I done wrong? Server auth types. It's a proper calculator. It's very hard to do this because I don't want to show anyone's personal data, so I'm just going to have to empty that out apart from auth types. There we go. Let's just run to make sure it is actually creating that. Null and 1. Is it not sorting properly? Or let's see, what can we do? Tester. Put a tester in there. We don't need it down there. You see, I've got lots of columns. This is why I'm trying to delete a few of them. Attribute value, server auth types has a value. Maybe I should have done this in my other workspace. There we go, 44. No, that's not working. They shouldn't all be 1. What have I done wrong? Okay, let's keep some of these other ones as well. 1, 2, 4, 8. Let's keep those. Rerun that part and see what it thinks they are. That's... What the heck am I doing wrong here? This has worked every time so far. If it has a value, set it to 8, I'll set it to 0. And I know some of it does. because I can see that in the source data. Like there. So, I wonder if I can just put a counter on there. Well, I didn't expect this to turn into a debugging exercise, but I'm going to keep doing this just for the heck of it. And that we'll keep there as well. Okay, let's run this. Okay, so, yep, that has a value. So that's count number 51. Okay, that looks right. So 8 plus 4 plus 2 equals... Huh. That's not added that together. Now why is that? Encoded UTF-8. Well, I don't see why that should be a problem. Huh. Okay, well I'm just going to throw let's just make it integers just to make sure that maybe it just needs casting to a different value, although that seems odd. FME doesn't normally get too picky like that. Okay. Still no. Oh, hang on. That's that. I see where we've gone wrong. And I promise I didn't do this on purpose just to show stuff. That should be 0, because if it's not 0, then it stays null, and then 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus null equals null. Oh! Okay, let's try that again. There we go. Now we're getting values. Okay, let's rerun that whole thing. At the same time it's running, I'm just going to get rid of those because I don't need them. It's pretty cool how you can do that, although it does make the caches turn a funny color straight away. Rerun this. And now we're getting values. I should have noticed by the fact it said null rather than 0 for the values. So 14 means they picked choices 2, 3, and 4. So because it counts 2 points, 4 points, 8, it makes 14. And these are 1 point, and these people didn't choose anything. So so now I've encoded that basically in my data, and it's down to a single column, and it's because again I've got so many columns in here, I'm really trying to cut down on it. And if I want to get that information back out, if they picked a particular one, then I can just hard code the decoding of it, or I could sort of convert the base back to from 10 to 2. How many types were it? So 4. So it's got to be 4 digits long. And now I can see which ones they picked. So again, if I sort this, yeah, 1110. So they picked that option, that option, that option, but not the last one. and this person picked that, not that, that, but not that. So yeah, that's how that works. Yes, and that's what I wanted to show today. Actually, there's a really good card trick you can do by memorizing cards using binary, and maybe I'll demonstrate that someday when I get around to it, because I used to be able to run that on FME, and it was great, a great card trick. Anyway, that being said, yeah, that's what I've got for you today. Hopefully that was of interest, including that ad hoc debugging. You can see that sometimes it gets a bit difficult to find the problem you're looking for, but if you stick a whole bunch of transformers in there to see what the data is at that point, eventually you get what's going on. And here again, I specifically was setting values to 0 because I knew that 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus null equals null. But obviously I missed it there, so that was my mistake. Okay, so I hope that was useful, and have a great week.